Welcome. My name is Carolyn Woodard, and I'm the Director of Outreach for Community IT. Thank you for joining us for part 3 of our series of discussions on high-tech and cutting-edge technology for nonprofits. Today, our 3 senior experts will be discussing artificial intelligence, AI, and machine-based learning, and how these technologies are already impacting nonprofits. If you missed part 1 on virtual reality or part 2 on crypto and blockchain applications, you can find them if you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. I'll let our experts introduce themselves and get right into the discussion of AI.
So my name is Johan Hammerstrom. I'm the CEO at Community IT. So I'm happy to be here today with Steve. Steve,
Sure.
You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Steve Longenecker. I'm the Director of IT Consulting at Community IT.
My name is Nura Aboki. I'm an IT business manager and a senior consultant at Community IT.
You want to take a stab at artificial intelligence? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's the kind of thing that I was pretty skeptical of for a long time, just feeling like it was a lot of hype. I mean, I think part of the problem with technology, with high tech in general, is that there's enormous amounts of money to be made, and the way in which like new technology gets funded and promoted really lends itself to a lot of hype and exuberance that isn't always warranted, especially with new technology. So it's hard to know, like, is this real or is this just a venture capitalist trying to drum up interest in their latest project that they're funding. But it does seem like there's things happening now in artificial intelligence that are real and legitimate and different. And my understanding is that a lot of that is driven by there's kind of two things that you need to make artificial intelligence work. And most AI, I think, is using a neural network based approach where you build this neural network and then you train it. And you're basically like, much in the way that human intelligence is thought to work, you're just showing patterns. Humans are like in a reductive sense, like human intelligence is like pattern recognition, and responding, recognizing patterns and responding to patterns. And that's a lot what artificial intelligence is. Like, you create a model and then you train that model, and the more data you can use to train the model, the more accurate the model is going to become when it starts when you start asking it to do more and more sophisticated things. And so large scale models and large scale data sets are something that the modern sort of world of the internet has really enabled. And so large scale models are available now for the first time ever because of these enormous data centers that Facebook and Google and Amazon and Microsoft, to an increasing extent, have created. And those 4 companies have created data centers that are significantly larger than what any other entity on Earth has created. And in fact, like when the US government wants to open an enormous data center, they contract it out, to one of those four companies. So because of the scale and the size of basically they're creating these enormous computing environments that have the ability to create models at a very large scale in a way that has never been possible before. And so that's like one sort of half of the equation. The other half of the equation is the data sets.
Right.
And
to train them on.
To train them on.
Right.
And in the same way, these companies have amassed over the internet enormous data sets. So,
right.
For years,
zillions of pictures of dogs, zillions of pictures of cats.
Exactly.
If you want to train a computer on why people think certain cat videos are funny and other cat videos are not. There's a billion cat videos with data about how many of them are viewed, which ones are viewed more, and just feed it in.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I mean, that's what TickTock is to a large extent. It's an algorithm that is proprietary, so none of us know how that algorithm works, but the algorithm is being trained supposedly on the behavior of millions and millions of people sort of interacting with that product, and it modifies and adapts, over time. And that's what all artificial intelligence models are doing. But we've all, just using Google search is using artificial intelligence. If you've uploaded your photos to Google Photos and you go in, it's going to start surfacing things to you. Like Google Photos has become remarkably good at identifying one person over a long period of time. And I know this because I have kids, and my kids have friends, and their photos are in the Google Photos account. And it always amazes me how well Google can sort of identify the same person over many, many, many years, which you think that's something only human, that's like an aspect of human intelligence in some ways, to visually, be able to identify. And machines are now, gaining that capability. I think about some of the auto completion that, like, if you open an email, you start writing an email, Outlook will automatically start finishing your sentences for you. And for a long time, it was terrible. It seems to have gotten better. I don't know. That may be like a boiling the frog situation where you don't really realize it, but one day you start to type an email and you realize, wow, Outlook is better at this than I am. That may be where we're headed.
Yeah. Well, we're well aware, or not, maybe we're not. It's worth telling folks that are listening that right now you can there are publicly available. I don't think they're necessarily that they're free, but I don't think they're expensive. You can get computer generated images. So you can say, go to this. It's essentially a website, and you can say, I want a picture of a dog jumping over a fire hydrant, and you don't. It's not finding on the internet a pre-existing picture of a dog jumping over a fire hydrant. It knows what the word dog means. The algorithm, or whatever it is, the artificial AI knows what the word dog means, or what it has meant in the past, and it knows what a fire hydrant is, and it shows you that, it gives you a almost like a photograph like image of that, and then you could probably say, no, I wanted a small yellow dog, not a Great Dane or whatever, and then and it would adjust all that. You can get text is often the leading on these things, because there's so much text to train with, but you can get things to be written up based on, you give it maybe a couple sentences and it finishes the paragraph for you, so to speak. So those things exist today. They're clearly imperfect. Like there's oftentimes flaws with it, but it's already the case that people who generate that kind of material professionally are feeling threatened by it, and there's a whole, like, almost a moral dimension to it. Like there's been I wouldn't call them scandals, but there's been outcries that so and so was writing a blog, and they used an image rather than pay a human being for an image. They just went to one of these AI systems and got the image out of that, and they paid their $300 a year membership fee or whatever for that service, and unlimited images available to them or whatever. And don't quote me on any of the payment systems or pricing, but my impression is that it's not that expensive, and that this is something that you can do. So yeah, I think the idea long term, and I think our experience is that in some ways the nonprofit community is sort of, we talk about leading edge, is like the trailing edge oftentimes, because it when it's leading, it's very expensive, and you wait for the market to make things more efficient and less expensive, and that's when nonprofits get interested. But yeah, there should be potentially things that humans do now, but that are repetitive or that are, you know, like answering the phone. I mean, that's the classic case now, right? Like already, you know, it's not even so much artificial intelligence, but computers have more or less replaced auto attendants and so forth. But they're going to get those auto attendants, or the, we experience them all the time when we call technical support or whatever. Like you spend the first 5 minutes talking to a computer that wants to route you to the right person and ask you in your natural voice to say, why are you call, can you tell me what this call is about? And then what you can say is representative, or whatever. But like, but if you just say, I'm calling because I need help with my copier, it knows, it can understand you. It seems like 9
Yeah,
times out of 10. And
yeah,
it's all kind of amazing. And I think all that's just going to get better. And, it seems impossible now that nonprofits would be, taking donations via artificial intelligence. But at the same time, why not? What that will happen. I don't know when it will happen, but that will happen. That um, you'll call a number and a computer will take your donation, and it will be a good experience, not an irritating one,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, there's already like GitHub, which is sort of the leading repository for code, like for developers, people who are writing computer applications will generally store that. A lot of them will store their code in GitHub, which is owned by Microsoft. And GitHub developed an application called Copilot. And you basically, if you're a developer and you're coding, you can run Copilot in a window, like you're coding in one window, you're running Copilot in another window. And Copilot is watching what you're doing and making recommendations to you about how to code what you're trying to code. And they've found that coders who use Copilot are something like 40% more effective and efficient than coders who don't. And so it's having a meaningful positive impact. It's making them more efficient, and it's an area where they're starting to see the AI become more sophisticated in terms of the levels of code that it's able to assist with.
Although my impression is that tool, because I've heard about that as well, is not that it's not particularly creative. It's more
Right.
doing the kinds of things that are a nuisance to coders, like
Yes.
copying the same subroutine over and over again, or like looking up. I know that there's that module that all I'm doing is putting in an input in. I want the module to process it and then give me back the input. And I got to look up the name of that module and then check it and make sure it's the one I'm thinking of. And if Copilot just tells you that's the module you want, that just saved you, X seconds or minutes, depending. And it's a little bit like, and this is, I guess, in a sense, artificial intelligence, although I don't know if it would qualify in the, neural networky kind of a thing. But, I am like a faster composer of text when I'm typing. I've gotten much, much better about like not backspacing when I mistype and
Mm-hmm.
just blazing along, because half the time it's Microsoft Word will after I've typed it, will correct it, like
Mm-hmm.
auto correct it. And the
Mm-hmm.
other half the time it just has a red line under it and I can do a spell correct at the end. But I'm not like, oh no, that's not spelled right. Back, type it again. Like I can see that, but I just ignore. I just plow through, and the artificial intelligence sort of saves the day at the end. But it's not like I don't know how to spell, and it's not like I don't know how to write. It's kind of that difference between virtual reality and augmented reality in some ways. Now, who's to say that we aren't going to have, AI completely replacing whole people at some point? I won't be surprised if the receptionist's job is gone. Like that may already be the case largely. But I think a big role for AI in the nearer term is to help people who are doing jobs do them more easily.
Yeah, I think that's right. And at the risk of getting too philosophical, I believe that, creativity is something that is uniquely human, and there's no point at which the machines that we build have their own innate creativity. They can enhance and augment the creativity that we bring to the table, but I think it's impossible for them to be creative on their own. But
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. I don't know if I agree or not, but I haven't really. Yeah.
That's angels dancing on the head of a pin. For now, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any other interesting developments that you're following in technology?
Well, one of the neat solution I've seen has to do with the area of natural language processing. Essentially, chatbots. Some nonprofit organizations are adopting chatbots to be their virtual assistants in communicating with their volunteers, their members, donors, and that technology has really improved to human-like capabilities. So it's having a conversation, for instance, with Google Lambda algorithm, natural language processing solution. There's a potential that you, in conversation, whether it's audio or in chat, it may be hard for another human being to distinguish whether it's a real person or a machine or a computer. But it's an impressive technology that, if done the right way, can really help a lot of people, a lot of nonprofit organizations expand their reach and really achieve their missions, because it's a sort of partnership that would unlock so much potential for nonprofit organizations. So that's one aspect of advanced technology that I've seen more in the AI realm. It's called natural language processing. Specifically has to do with machine learning and deep learning algorithms.
Is that technology that's starting to become available in, things like Microsoft?
Yes, so I'm seeing that Microsoft has its own chatbot, and they are feeding. Basically, the chatbot is built using an AI or an artificial intelligence machine learning algorithm. So yes, that is becoming available in Microsoft, is becoming available in some Google products, sometimes providing analytics and data, deep insights to customers and clients. And the technology itself, there's been concerns about some ethical use of it as it continues to evolve to be human-like. So as nonprofit organizations are adopting these AI solutions, they are really thinking hard also, or considering the ethical issues related to having this machine learning tool make decisions on their behalf. So that is something that they have to trade carefully. But yes, in terms of utilization of this technology, it's available. Sometimes when you do a chat session with, let's say, one of those large vendors, you're not actually chatting with a human being, but it's one of those AI that is responding to your comments and looking at what they've learned by other reinforcement learning techniques to give you answers that may be suitable for you.
Mm-hmm. It's, one of the analogies I've heard is that it's sort of like Clippy, but taken to the next level.
Yeah.
I think Clippy was sort of the Clippy had kind of like on a superficial level, it was pretending to be AI, but in actuality, like the things that Clippy suggested were never very helpful, and it was kind of annoying, and it was corny, and much derided. Like Clippy sort of was taken out of the office after, I think it was Office 2000 had Clippy, and then they got rid of Clippy. But would you think that in we would start to see more of that in like office applications, like a digital assistant that would help you when you're putting together a report or a presentation?
Yes, and there are digital assistants that will help you write a draft for a grant
Oh, wow.
using this artificial intelligence solutions. And similarly, I think if you are in the US or you're on the internet, you may come across a solution called Grammarly, that reads and corrects your sentence. So in effect, that's just a basic analogy of a solution there that can really take some input about the grant, and they may have already developed a model about a variety of donors in the industry and they will draft a copy of a grant that you may be interested in sharing with your donor, and they will help you edit it to completion before you send it out to your donor. So that is a solution that is currently available actually for testing for nonprofit organizations that are interested in just having their own AI that will help them draft grants. The another aspect to this is I'm seeing that AI solution like this installed on robots, and this particular robot would then help in cleaning the environment. So it will go into a trash can and sort out the recyclable items from the non-recyclable items. So in environments like universities or spaces where we don't really maybe adhere to best practices, this robot can actually go and overnight sort this trash for us and then hand it over. So it's an effective use of the technology to help clean the environment, for instance. So
Wow,
that's what
that's
I'm
amazing.
seeing.
Yeah, that's really
what
cool.
I'm seeing in the industry.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and you could imagine that, you're talking about physical trash, but when you look at some of the databases, like I think of some of our data sources, I feel like, it'd be great to have a robot go in and like groom the data for us, like clean it out a little bit. Like I know we have some bad data in our, I tried doing that myself and ended up deleting my calendar accidentally.
Oh,
So
no.
I could have used an AI assistant, I think, in that case. Well, that's fascinating. Yeah. What's the name, Nura, of the grant bot that you were grant writing assistant, I should say, that you were referring to? Do you remember? We'll put it in the show notes.
We'll put it in the show notes. I have it on my mobile device, but I'm gonna run off. I don't want to do that now, but we'll put it in the show notes and then share that with you.
The website is fundwriter.ai, fundwriter.ai.
Well, that's really interesting. I mean, I think the fear, obviously, is that it's going to take jobs, right? Like the fear is that people who are writing grants for a living will end up losing their job to this grant writing assistant, artificially intelligent grant writing assistant. That's the negative view, and there may be some truth to that. I think the positive view is that these artificial intelligent assistants would take on, like the trash sorting example is a much nicer one, because I think that's something that no one really wants to do, and the idea is that these assistants would help with help create greater efficiencies, help in these sorts of tasks that can be very time consuming.
Certainly, there is that concern about the loss of jobs, the machines are taking over type of feeling. And I see it as jobs are going to shift. We're going to retool, rescale our workforce. Someone has to build this robot. Someone has to code this AI. Even though the AI these days, they're calling themselves self-learning, reinforcement learning. But in the initial stages, there's going to be a human being trying to develop the solutions. So one may need to rescale, retool, and I agree there might be some certain losses, but there will be a lot of gains. And if we plan ahead, strategize, we will get ahead of it, whatever risks that may be presented, and be able to resolve issues as they come.
All right, I'm going to ask you a couple rapid fire questions here, Nura. I'm going to ask you to look into your crystal ball and just give me your best guess, okay? Because I remember back when the iPad came out in like 2011, 2012, it was sort of the death knell for the laptop, right? Like iPads were going to replace laptops, and it was the end of, the Wintel computer as we knew it. And here we are, 2022. We're each on laptops recording this presentation. So 5 years from now, are people still going to be using laptops to do their work?
Yes. I think people are going to still use laptops. They're in the enterprise, in the business environment. 5 years is still a short time for us to see a significant jump to tablets only or some other form of being productive at work.
What about 10 years from now? What do you think?
Oh, yes. So then 10 years from now, I sense there will be some other technology that will come and replace the laptop itself. So the idea of augmented reality, VR, those solutions would have been solidified in 10 years from now, that they will begin to replace the need for having a keyboard, mouse, and a screen in front of you. You'll probably have a gadget somewhere strapped on your body that takes you into VR or AR.
All right. What about email? 5 years from now, are people still communicating with email?
So we've seen a shift in using email in settings. People are using Slack, WhatsApp, and other mobile applications. I think email will still continue, but it's just going to be more on the mobile. So having to use laptops 5 years from now will still be people checking email, but there will be continued use of mobile devices to access email. And then there will be mobile apps like Slack and the other brands that are basically trying to replace the email entirely that will be adopted.
And 10 years from now?
Well, we said that about email many years ago. I think we're still going to see email in the space. There hasn't been yet a solid potential replacement. We've seen experiments happening, but I think 10 years from now, we may still have email, in our space.
Yeah. In the words of Mark Twain, its death has been greatly exaggerated.
Correct.
All right. What about office networking? Will offices still manage their own Wi-Fi systems, or will everyone just be on 6G? Just like everywhere you go, there's a 6G, 7G network. You don't need private office networking anymore 5 years from now.
The latter, where you mentioned the 6G mobile connectivity, cellular advanced mobile connectivity, because the speeds are matching up or even existing current Wi-Fi speeds. So if you have 5G connection, you run a speed test, you're approaching gigabit speed. Now, if you and it gives you flexibilities. Mobile is available virtually in and out of the office. So there may not be a consistent reason for one to keep building out their Wi-Fi networks. The only concern I have is just how do we make sure that there are secure private networks as part of the larger cellular network advancement, so that a client can say, oh, this is my own portion of 5G and I get dedicated speeds. And I think there will likely be that evolution in the mobile space. It might be a limitation in technology right now, but in the future, we're likely going to see that.
Twitter. Will Twitter still be in business in 5 years?
Well, it depends on the leader. The leader and the owners of Twitter will make that decision for us.
What's your guess? If you had to put money on it,
Well, the leader certainly has vision, and I think they're still going to be in business 5 years from now.
Will Apple finally figure out how to make the iPad a productive device that can replace someone's laptop fully?
I think they've already figured it out. I'm looking through my crystal ball in the R&D. They have figured it out. They're just slow to roll it out. I think we are not quite ready for that change. And perhaps, it's a business case. They don't have a business reason to make the iPad replace the MacBook lineup.
Will Google Workspace, I think I have 1 minute left here. Will Google Workspace make more significant inroads as a business productivity solution compared to Microsoft 365? Or because I think they probably have like 15, 20% of the market right now. Will they increase their market share in that area, or will it remain roughly the same?
So in the business space, Microsoft is leading in productivity solutions targeted at the enterprise. So I think they will continue to make investments so they can take some more market share, but I don't know if they will be able to exceed Microsoft's strategic investments. They've all gotten us hooked. So it's very difficult to break that cycle. But the next generation of users are using Google. So that's why I'm not going to rule it out. It's possible that they will gain some share, but I don't see Microsoft falling behind.
All right. I was going to ask you whether Peacock and Paramount Plus will still have standalone streaming services in 5 years, but you don't have to answer that.
I don't know. I think they may actually no. It's the experiment is going to be over soon.
I agree.
I do think that, like, in 2012 there was this, up and coming thing called social, and it really was well leveraged by a lot of sharp people in the nonprofit space, probably faster than it was adopted by nonprofits more quickly and to good effect. So there are counterexamples of where there are like buzzy new things that, by getting online, I didn't mean that, but getting on board, and being an early adopter, not too early. There's no point, having a Facebook page when you were the only nonprofit with a Facebook page, but not waiting too long and being like, yeah, this social, it's too buzzy, I'm going to wait. Like, a lot of nonprofits got a lot of mileage, and obviously now you got to have, if you're like a nonprofit that faces the public, you need to have a social presence. That's just like a requirement of it. If that's your mission, to like sort of be out there in front of the public, you need to have a social presence and someone doing that. So there are counterexamples, but I think you're right. When it comes to blockchain, AI, and artificial, AR, probably wait and see is the best advice for now.
But to your point, like, being aware is also important. Sure. And it's easy to get like these things can change on a dime too. Right. One day there was no iPhone, the next day there was an iPhone, and within a few years, like, everything had changed. Same with social media, same with high-speed internet back in the early 2000s. So while certain technologies take a long time to come to fruition, when they do arrive,
the tipping point.
It's a tipping point, and it's important to at least be aware of that. And I think if you're a nonprofit, you probably have staff in your organization who are more connected to technology, and younger staff, tend to be more connected to technology. And I think it just is a good reminder of the importance of technology leadership that is, aware at least of what's happening in the world of IT. I guess, it's kind of a recurring theme when it comes to buzzy technology for nonprofits. Like, don't get into it. Like, wait till eventually somebody will bring it to you. Like, there's no point in anybody getting into like really, really early versions of the internet just for the sake of having it if they weren't actually using it for something productive. Like, eventually DSL came up and you could get on the internet at an affordable price.
Right. I think that makes sense for the topics we've discussed so far. Like, when blockchain is a compelling solution for your nonprofit, you'll know it. In the meantime, leave it alone. Let other people sort it out. And I think that to some extent, I think that's true currently for artificial intelligence and virtual reality as well. For small nonprofits, especially small nonprofits, but for nonprofits in general, maybe just beware of buzzy new things. Wait for the buzz to go away and for it to become like a more mature product.
Thank you for joining us for part 3 of this discussion of nonprofits and high tech. You can find parts 1 and 2 if you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, on YouTube or on our website. Get in touch with us on our website to suggest future topics you'd like us to talk about.